What's up, everyone? Today we're going to talk about getting your God rolls or perfect rolls. And I've talked about it before. I usually don't keep anything that's below 0.5%, but that's just me. I like to get as close to full value as I can. And yeah, so half a percentage point is my limit. If it's beyond that, I usually just go back and try to re-roll. Um, as you can see, most of my stuff here has, well, Ghost Weapon 1 and 2 are relatively easy to get good rolls on because it's only a few options. So the possible outcomes are not as plentiful. You only get 3 of each usually. Same with Ghost Weapon 1. So those are usually, this one has 4. But yeah, so those are usually pretty easy. The Assassin Charm is probably the hardest one just because of this. Has the most options. Um, Ranged weapons are usually not that bad. It's usually only a few options. And katanas are the second hardest next to charms because of, yeah, many options or possible outcomes. Now, I guess there are two ways that you could go about this. I usually um, I think I've talked about this before, but I'll go over it again. Sometimes you'll get stuff. So since the Icky Island upgrade, um, so you can still. I mean, This is assuming that everyone's playing gold or higher. So if you're playing gold or higher, usually you're getting for gold. I think you get 105 gear. You occasionally will get 104. You can roll it up to 110 in 2 rolls actually now. It used to be one per point. So it used to be that if you had a piece of gear that was 105, you would have to roll it 5 times to get to 110 because that was the maximum. I don't think I have any 104s. Nope. Um, Maybe a charm. No. But so now it goes from rare to epic in one roll, and it'll go to the full value 110 in one roll. But now one thing that I've talked about before is you gotta check. You gotta go through all your gear every time you get drops, because every time you get stuff, there's actually stuff that drops with full values. Like this is a stealth charm that I just got recently, and it has Fire Master and status effect damage at full value. So I'm not sure what I want to do with this, but the second property I can just re-roll, um, and that's easy because it already has the perk that I want and the one of the properties that I want at full value, and I just need to decide what I'm gonna do with this and then re-roll this one slot until I get a full value, which is not that difficult. Um, so that's one way to go about it. This one, I just re-rolled or reforged until I got 2 things that I wanted. So I got status effect damage at full value, and I had helmet piercing. And as you can see, this is already it's leveled up to 120. I just haven't picked the second perk, because I wanted to have that flexibility of, okay, so what if I roll it? If I had the second perk that I wanted, then that limits my ability to reforge and be flexible as far as the first perk, because then that locks in. You have to lock in your one of your properties and your perk that you want. So if I had this one with the second perk that I wanted, then that means that I can only get one first perk. That's it. But if you're reforged and you leave this one um, leave this one without uh, a chosen second perk or a set second perk, then you have 2 options to choose from now. So whatever the perk you just get the next one with this slot. Um, so one way to go about this, or getting your perfect roll on your second property, is I used to just focus on the one thing that I want. So right now I'm going for status effect. No, I'm going for stealth attack damage at full value, 25%. So what I used to do before was I used to just roll, and then whenever I got the thing that I wanted, I would just keep it and then keep rolling until I got a higher value. And then I would just not keep whatever value that I had, and then I would just uh, do the option to keep existing property and not take whatever the roll was if it wasn't what I wanted. But now I've actually moved to just go and then do this as many times. Like for example, what I would do before is I would just keep, since I'm going for stealth attack damage, I would just keep this high value, which is pretty good, and then I would just go keep existing property and then keep that until I got it again at a high enough value. So there we go, it went up. So this is what I would usually do. And this is a good, um, like one of those best case scenario where I just rolled it a few times and I got 5% points higher than what I had on my first good roll. So this is kind of like ideal. Not It doesn't happen often. I didn't spend that much honor, but what I've been doing recently is I just keep rolling, and then I hope to get. So I don't even look at what it is. I just look at the percentage point. So the percentage points are 24.4. This is actually below what I would take, which is at least 24.5. So I just keep re-rolling. I don't care that it's whatever. And so what I'm hoping for is just random luck to give me the full value. See, now I got another 22. I'm not really even looking at what the name of the property is. I'm just looking at the percentage. If it's the 25 that I'm looking for, then I'll stop. And then everyone has their limits. I usually go with 10k as my limit. And then I'll go back to my save. So this is actually something that I would take, this 24.6. Usually I would take this, but I really do want the perfect roll on this. And also for the sake of the example for this video. So I'll just keep doing that because, and this might just be me, but for me, it seems to work more effectively to just do this as opposed to keep existing property until I get higher, because I noticed that actually a lot of times it will start going down. So instead of getting higher values, you'll start getting way lower values, and it'll start decreasing instead of keeping an increase. So it'll just keep doing that until you spend way too much honor, and then you don't even have a high enough value to justify how much honor you spent. So like I said, I usually go about 10k into it. I don't think I'm gonna get it. Ideally it's like 5. Doesn't look like I'm gonna get it with 5. But it's really, depends on how much honor you have and how much time you have. If you have less honor, you could also just set a more modest limit and then just say, I feel like, 2 or 3,000 honor is usually pretty good as far as um, how many times you can reroll something. If it's just a property you're rerolling, you get basically twice as many attempts because it's only 55 honor instead of 110 for which is what a reforge will cost you. So I am going to go. I I would have already stopped if this was not for the purpose of making this video, but I'm gonna go all the way to 320,000. So this is actually it's pretty good. I would maybe keep this, but then again, it's like your preference. If you feel like you can do better for less, and this is where I would, once I get to my limit, you probably already know what I'm gonna do or have heard about it. And if you haven't, then you need to look up save scumming, which is what a lot of us do because of stuff like this, where it's like I've already spent more than 10,000 honor and I didn't get what I wanted, and it's just one slot. So um, it's your time and your effort that you put into this game, and then to just watch it go down the drain is kind of disheartening. So unless you get what you want, I would say once you hit your limit, just go right back and reload your save and start all over again. All right, so I didn't get what I wanted and I've reached my limit. So actually, I can't do it because the minute that I close the game, the recording is gonna stop. So yeah, so I didn't get what I wanted. So I'll just go back to my save and start over again from the beginning and then try to get this. Sometimes, you could get lucky and it'll only take a couple reloads, or going back to your save. And sometimes it takes an hour. It really depends on how badly you want something. Um, I honestly, I can't really say that going for perfect rolls does much more than satisfy some OCD, you know, compulsion that you might have to see those full values, which it's not. I mean, I'm not OCD about it by any means. I just like to get them. I don't have to get them obviously because sometimes I compromise like this. That's fine. If you talk to anybody that knows anything about um, percentage and the way that the all the damage is calculated in the game, it really doesn't make much of a difference. Like you're not going to see the applicability of half a percentage point. It's not going to make a huge difference in your gameplay. When you're talking, depending on what the full value is, when you're talking about percentages, a percentage point, half a percentage point is really not that big a difference in praxis. But yeah, it's just sometimes it's just nice to have those full values. So it's worth it to me. If it's not worth it to you, then you can go with whatever value you're comfortable. If you like to have, you know, as close as possible, or if you're okay with 1 or 2 percentage points, that's totally up to you. You'll see that a lot of really good players don't really care about that too much. Like, you'll see their builds and they're like a point below, 2 points below, and there's obviously like having full value does not compensate for lack of skill, and vice versa. So um, a lot of times it's just if you have the chops, then you'll get the job done, and you don't need to have the full value. You just need to have the talent. So yeah, that's a look into getting your perfect rolls, or as close to perfect rolls as possible, or just in general, the process of re-rolling and some tips that I hope were useful to you. And yeah, let me know in comments if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.